Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy Ronan the Accuser. And I almost didn't review this because I thought I had one on order and apparently I didn't, and I didn't even think that it was out or anything. I wasn't paying any attention and somebody reminded me or asked me, hey, are you going to review this? And I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for it. So I checked and I never ordered it because my brain doesn't work anymore, but I got one. So thanks to whoever that was that reminded me. If you want to give yourself a shout out in the comment section, go for it. I don't remember who you are, sorry. But here we go. It's a cool figure mostly, and I happen to personally really like Ronan the Accuser as a character design, so I was very pleased when they announced this. And so hopefully the figure turns out to be as good as I would like it to be for the price point. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, so what I want to do first is look at the packaging, because I would say as far as the windowless packaging goes from Hasbro, which I guess is already on the way out, this is a pretty good looking one. It's a basic hero pose front of the figure, which is pretty nice. I guess it's probably a render, but it looks more like an actual figure, so that's pretty good. The side, we'll come back to that, but it is just the figure again. A little bit of artwork. Like, it's not a bad one. It's not some goofy ass pose that makes you hate looking at it, so that's okay. Generally, I don't care about Hasbro packaging in the first place because it just gets thrown away, but still, some of you I know might care, so I thought I would show it to you. Okay, so now what I want to do is look at this part right here, because even right here on there, it has to be a render, I'm guessing, it does look a little bit goofy. Now, sometimes Ronan the Accuser is drawn with a relatively large head. That is true. But most times he's drawn fairly proportionate and looks particularly, I would say, intimidating or menacing. And that's kind of hard to do when you have a really big head and then really scrawny looking legs. So I do think Hasbro kind of missed the mark in the overall look of that, and we'll get into that with the figure a little bit more. But even on their render, it does look, I think, a little bit off. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. I know some people really like it when I show the packaging, so I have been trying to show you guys my package a little bit more often. And if you guys like that, let me know in the comment section below. Alright, this guy stands just about 7 3/4. It's right there, so that's going to be a good enough measurement. And that's going to be about, a little over 19.5 centimeters. We're not, trying to build a rocket ship here. We don't need them to be absolutely exact measurements, but that's pretty darn close. Okay, so here he is up against Darwin. Darwin being a $26 Marvel Legends figure, and this guy being a $40 release. He's a lot bigger, a lot of reused parts, but not a ton. Like, there's a fair bit of new stuff too, so it's not the worst thing in the world, I think, as far as reused parts go. But 40 bucks is definitely pushing it, I think, in this realm. Okay, so let's do a quick question of the day. Which version of Ronan is your favorite? Any variant like this, or because there's like a few that look pretty much like this, and then there's the one where he's got like the stripe here and like the longer sash and the more normal looking hood. I think I prefer that one, like the one that they based the old Build-A-Figure on, but I do like this one too. I think mostly he's not drawn with these giant hulking shoulder pads. They're usually a little bit smaller, but either way, basically those two versions. I think I like the other one more. Okay, let's talk about the aesthetic on this guy. I will do a quick Photoshop just to show you how much better it would look if he had a slightly smaller head and better thighs. Particularly, the upper legs need to be readjusted. They're not too short, I don't think. I think they're about right lengthwise, but they're so scrawny looking the way Hasbro makes them, so straight up and down. In fact, some of you are going to notice that things look weird but may not know the anatomy as to why. The big issue for his legs is that, generally speaking, your legs are not thicker at the bottom of the quads. They get thicker as they go up, even though you have these big heads to the muscles here. Mostly the mass, it tapers up away from the knee, not down toward the knee. So that's what throws these off, and I'll show you in the Photoshop. It'll make him look a whole lot better, I'm betting. Anyway, it does look pretty good, I would say. It's not bad. The green paint on here is not exactly impressive, but it's not super terrible. It's okay. You can see lots of little chunks missing. It's not lined up perfectly, but it's not terrible. The closer I get to it on camera, the worse it looks. To the naked eye, it's not as bad, but the more you look at it, the worse it is. So don't look at it too closely or for too long. It's good enough, I guess. There is a decent amount of paint on it. His face is painted pretty cleanly. I will give you that. That's not bad. Chin could be a lot better, but the eyes and around the eyes, that looks nice. And that's it for paint. That's it. No shading or anything. They did do the marbly plastic for the green, or I mean, I should say the light green. This part up here, I believe, is painted. Same thing for the forehead, but mostly it's marbly. It's not too bad though. It's barely marbly, so that's nice. Yeah, it definitely could use some washes and things, I think, to really bring it to life. It looks good enough. It's better than your average Marvel Legends, but not exactly more impressive than a good Marvel Legends, which is to say it's okay. For $40, I'm not sure I'm real thrilled with the lack of detailed paint job. So I'll give the aesthetic not a great score, but I think for Marvel Legends an 8 is fair enough. Definitely would look better with a little bit more meat in his chest, smaller head, bigger legs. Really just punch him up a little bit, but he looks okay. All right. And then I do want to talk about one thing. I know you guys like when I get a little bit more technical. One of the bigger things that makes Marvel Legends look weird is the placement of the shoulders. They're always very far forward relative to the head. Now, of course, you can't see his neck. Not really. No, I'm not going to be able to. But the shoulders are very far forward. They're always small and vertically oriented. They're taller than they are wide. So it throws off the whole look of the shoulder and the head area. But also, the biggest thing I've noticed for Hasbro is that the backs on their figures are around this way. And that's not really the way backs are shaped. There's not a huge lump right here. It kind of dips in there and then goes out toward the shoulders. And if their shoulders were farther back like they belong and thicker like they should be, they'd be able to do that. But because they bring their shoulders so far forward, they have to have this weird arch in the back, and it throws off the look a lot compared to what it should be. Okay, so anyway, that was just a little aside. Some of you like those, some of you don't. I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the accessories, because all we have is his hammer. Now, I am personally a fan of characters with big hammers as weapons, so I like it, and they did a pretty good job. It does seem maybe a bit oversized. I don't remember his hammer being that big, but hey, I'm probably just jealous. I think it looks pretty cool, and I will give him a 5 out of 10, only because we can't have some fist hands. Like, it's $40 figure, give us some fist hands. Super annoying that he only has the 2 grippy hands. Okay, let's do articulation. You're probably thinking it's gonna suck. I got bad news for you. It's worse than you thought. It's not great. The head, it has normal Marvel Legends articulation, the disc hinge up there, but it doesn't move much. Just leans forward and back a little bit. Not really back at all. And then rotating it, it's okay. But that's it. Like rotation and slight lean forward. No like leaning side to side or anything like that. Now the shoulder pads, as you already saw, they just peg into his chest, which means they are going to be completely destroyed by moving the arm. So I'll put it back on and I'll show you. They also don't pop off. They don't stay on very easily. They pop off very easily. So if we're going to move the arm, I haven't even gotten all the way up to the side yet, and it already popped it off. And that's only going out to the side. There's no room for them to move anywhere. So not a good play. It just doesn't work. You can't really pose the arms. And then we'll try going forward. Yeah, it just pops the shoulder pad right off. So posing this guy is going to blow big time. The shoulder pads are never going to be where they belong. Technically, the joint has the full rotation. You get your up to horizontal. Actually, it can't even go higher than that. So it pops the shoulder pad off and is limited. So that kind of blows. So yeah, its shoulder is technically functional, but with the pads, it sucks. Bicep swivel is okay. Single jointed elbow, less than 90 degrees. These gloves don't rotate. I didn't mention that on, who was it? The lady in the red, Monet. I think hers had the same problem. When you have gauntlets like this, it really needs to rotate with the hand, because as you rotate the hand, the gauntlet gets in the way of the thumb. And on this guy, you can see my plastic's already turning light green from the stress of the hand pressing out on that. So that's super annoying. They really need to make those loose pieces that rotate, or just solid pieces that rotate. One or the other can't not rotate, especially when he's supposed to be holding his hammer with both hands. Don't like that. Now for the joint, we do get a vertical joint in this wrist, so you get your rotation, of course. Very tight at the wrist rotation, but you do get a vertical hinge here, horizontal hinge here. That's supposed to help him hold the hammer, and I guess it can, except because of the shoulder pads, you can't really move the arms well. And then because of the wrists, you can't really move the hands well. So it's a little bit tricky to get him into a good pose, or at least more than one good pose. You can kind of do a basic hero pose, and that's kind of it. Ab crunch. Doesn't go back from there. So not even like, there's no notch. It's just kind of, it leans back a little bit, doesn't really work. And then leaning forward, you get one notch. So very, very limited range on this guy for no real reason. This is a new torso. They could have made it wonderful, and they did not. Belt is, I think it's actually connected somewhere. Maybe there's a tab. No, maybe down here there is. Maybe not. Maybe there's no tab, but these are two separate pieces, and they seem to be free floating. They're just probably tight, I guess, to the body, so that's okay. All right, so let's try the hips. Let's see how the hips work. Now, the other thing I noticed is his skirt is pretty high. Usually when he has this design, his skirt piece comes down a lot farther. It makes him look a little bit more intimidating, but they didn't do that. He has had a short one though, so his legs go just about to 45 degrees. Nothing impressive there. Going forward, they have good clearance going forward. Going back, basically nothing at all. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knees work pretty well. You're still just getting just better than 90 degrees. They're not cut out right up here, and then down here, I guess they're just not cut out enough. Yeah, for a double jointed knee, that blows. But you do kind of see that the proportioning is pretty close to where it should be. This part of the leg is not hugely longer than this part of the leg, so it's better than most Hasbro products despite its flaws. They did do a pretty good job of matching the paint to the plastic here, by the way. This is painted. So that's alright. You do get a boot swivel, so if you like that, you win. Ankle goes pretty far back. Far enough forward, and a decent ankle rocker. So his articulation, lots of it kind of blows. Shoulders don't work well because of the pads. I can kind of let that slide, but the ab crunch not working, the hips being limited, the wrists not being good. It's all just, and the knees too. It's all just kind of disappointing. It's not impressive at all. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 for Marvel Legends. He's going to be very hard to pose in any productive way. So now it's time for the final verdict on this guy. It does have a much better shelf appeal than most Marvel Legends, I think mostly because we have the contrasting finishes. He's mostly matte plastic, then we get the metallic light green. That looks pretty cool. High contrast face stands out. So yeah, he's going to stand out. He's got a cool, unique profile. That's all mostly character design though. It's not really the Hasbro product here that's impressive. What they've done is make it as cheap as possible as far as I can tell. And we know for a fact that that's what they do, so it's just kind of disappointing. Like, come on, you're already sculpting new stuff, make it work better. Give us better proportions, give us wrists that actually can hold the things, because these gauntlets being in the way, it ruins the figure in a lot of ways, practically speaking. So yeah, it's just disappointing. I'll give him an overall rating of, he's kind of expensive. Like, this used to be a standard release back in the day. You wouldn't have to, not Ronan himself, but a figure like this, you wouldn't have had to buy it for 40 bucks. 40 bucks is nuts. Considering that price is even more nuts than most Hasbro products, I'm gonna say this guy only gets a 7. If he was closer to like 30, which is a little bit more expensive than a normal figure, fine, I'd say 8. But yeah, at 40 bucks, they just didn't put any effort into it. Not really. The head is a really nice sculpt, but the rest of the figure is just kind of blah. So yeah, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I don't hate it, but I think it just doesn't justify the price at all. So there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.